Well everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Google Pixel tablet and see how this particular tablet holds up in 2024. Now, this thing is just barely a year old as of this point, and what's so crazy is that this is still, one of the better tablets that Google has made, and in a lot of ways, I still think it's worth buying, and I think for the average person out there, it probably is a very good tablet to go and pick up. But there probably are some other tablets I would recommend buying more so than this one, and we'll talk about that throughout this whole entire video. First things first, if you want to go and pick up a particular, Pixel tablet or another tablet I'd recommend buying, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there, and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of these particular tablets, this one really only comes down into one size, and it pretty much is the big, kind of 11-inch model that we're basically getting. So on the front side of this thing, we're getting a 10.95-inch IPS LCD panel. And the thing about this particular panel is that it's not a terrible display. It's like 1600 by 2560. But the thing with this particular panel compared to a lot of the competition is that this thing doesn't really look that great compared to some of the competition. There's a lot of tablets that have like OLED displays, and some of them even have like 120 Hz refresh rates. This particular tablet is basically giving you like a standard 60 Hz panel, which for a lot of people probably isn't good enough, and that's kind of the issue that you're getting when you're getting this type of tablet. Although this thing is like built fairly well and is built fairly premium, that is kind of one of the issues that you're going to be getting when you're getting this type of tablet at the end of the day. So that does kind of irk me a little bit, and that does kind of make the value of this tablet kind of go down a lot. It's like, why would you even want to pick up this thing when even like significantly older tablets that came out in like 2020 or 2021 can give you higher refresh rates than this particular tablet? So just kind of keep that in mind in the back of your head. That is by far one of the more annoying things going on for this particular phone when it kind of comes down to it. Now, on top of that, some other things going on with this particular tablet as well is that you're still maintaining things like, a front-facing camera that's in landscape mode, which is actually pretty nice to have. I prefer that at this point. You are getting a USB Type-C port on this thing, which is very, very nice. This thing is built pretty much out of aluminum, which is fairly expensive. It makes this thing feel very premium. And again, that's a very nice thing going on for this particular tablet when it comes down to it. Like, you can go through, pick up a tablet like this and feel like you have a fairly expensive type of tablet when it comes down to it, which again is a very, very nice thing. Now, on top of that, another very big thing with this particular tablet is the fact with, these types of devices, you're basically getting a standard type of build. You're getting a standard type of, experience compared to some other competition like an iPad or like a Galaxy tablet. The Galaxy tablet, you're getting the capability of getting that S Pen, and you can get expandable storage. So you can actually just go through and put in a micro SD card slot or something like that inside of these particular tablets, which is actually very nice. And with the iPad, it's kind of more or less the same thing. Like with the iPad, that you don't get expandable storage, but you get Apple Pencil support, and you get a lot of stuff built inside of that particular tablet too, which is very, very nice. So once again, take that as you will. It's kind of all over the place a little bit with those particular tablets. But if I'm going to go through and pick up one, this thing definitely has an interesting type of design when it comes down to it. And I kind of prefer, one of the other type of tablets more so than this thing. So just kind of keep that in mind in the back of your head. Again, not the biggest deal in the world, but just one of those small things that just kind of stood out to me at that moment. Now, on top of that, some other big things going on here is the price tag. This particular tablet is still available in the brand new market, but you can also buy it in the used market as well if you really want to. And that is kind of a good advantage that you basically have here. But like I said, if you're comparing this thing against some of the competition, it could just make more sense to go and buy another type of tablet when it comes down to it. Something that's going to be giving you a better experience overall rather than this thing. So once again, that is, one of those other things to kind of keep in mind here. Like, if you're going to be spending this type of money, you might as well go and pick up another type of device when it comes down to it, something that might be giving you a better experience. So that right there is another big thing to kind of keep in mind here as well. Now, on top of that, another big thing here is with the camera. Now, it's a pretty basic camera. There's not really anything super crazy going on here. It's an 8 megapixel wide angle camera on the back and an 8 megapixel wide angle camera on the front. Now, I don't really know what to tell you about this. This is a very, very basic camera when it kind of comes down to it. You're getting 1080p at, 30 frames per second, or 60 even probably on the front and the back. And it's actually only 1080p at 30. Which is actually pretty insane when it comes down to it. If you're going to go through and pick up something, you probably want it to have a little bit more capability than this thing, and that's essentially what's going on. Like, this thing is not really going to be giving you that great of an experience, and that right there is a very, very big disadvantage, I would say, about it. Like, if I'm going to go through and pick up a device, like, why would I want to go and pick up this thing? This thing has a very limited type of camera, and it's going to be giving you a very limited type of experience in almost every single way. If you have like a Google Pixel 1 or newer, again, the Google Pixel 1 came out in like 2015 or 2016. If you have a Google Pixel 1 or newer, you are basically going to be getting a better experience on the Google Pixel 1 over this particular phone in my personal opinion. So it's just a weird thing. I don't know why Google put this type of camera on this type of phone. They definitely should have done a much better job, but what are you going to do? At this point, it's just one of those situations where you're just going to have to kind of deal with it. Again, I would love to see a little bit more of an improvement here. We're going to have to kind of see what ends up happening here for the most part, but as this point, that's kind of how this particular camera holds up from that particular side. Now, the good thing is about these particular tablets is the chipset and the fact that Google is probably going to be supporting these phones with software for like a long period of time. Now, this thing is still giving you probably like, 3 years of software updates, 2 to 3 years of software updates. So that's a really, really cool thing. And I do like being able to buy a phone or buy a tablet and have it supported with stock Android and good versions of Android for a long period of time. And that is something that's really nice that's going to be going on here. Now, this is not the perfect type of camera. This is not a perfect type of experience. And you're just going to have to kind of remember that, because with a device like this, it's just not going to be the best of the best, but that's kind of okay. And I think for a lot of people, that's probably okay for the most part. However, I will tell you, the Google Pixel Tablet 2, whenever that officially comes out, it might be giving you an overall better experience, because that one is probably going to be the better one in terms of stability, in terms of software longevity. And if that matches something along like the Pixel 8s, that might be the better one when it comes down to it from that side as well. So there's a lot of things to kind of keep in mind in the back of your head, but that is just another thing to kind of remember when it kind of comes down to from that perspective as well. Finally, in terms of the performance, this is another very interesting thing going on here as well. This thing is going to be giving you that Google Tensor G2 chipset inside of it with 8 gigabytes of RAM. Now, the thing I'll tell you about the RAM and the performance of this particular tablet is that for the most part, this is a very good performing tablet. This is something that I like a lot. As much as I hate on this tablet about the other things going on with it, I do think if you're going to go through and pick up a tablet, this is not a bad option at all. And I do think it's actually a fairly solid option when it comes down to it. Like, this thing is probably going to be giving you a fairly decent experience when it comes down to it, which is very nice. The big thing to keep in mind here too, though, is that with a tablet like this, it's going to be matching in line with something like a Google Pixel 7 performance. So if you've never used a Pixel 7, or if you have used a Pixel 7, well, you can kind of get an idea of how good the performance is, because it is a very good performing device. And I do think even going on to the future, it's probably going to be a very smart thing to go and do and buy if you really want to go and, pick one of these types of things up. However, I will tell you, when it comes down to comparing this thing against some of the competition, like tablets that have the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 or 8 Gen 3, things like the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9, the Galaxy Tab S8, those are going to be giving you probably a more powerful tablet with a higher refresh rate. And like I said, it just makes more sense to go and buy those ones. But it's still a very cool thing. Like, if you wanted to go and pick it up, this thing is not a terrible option when it comes down to it either. So overall, what I'll definitely tell you is I love the Google, I like the Google Pixel tablet. I don't love it. I think it's a good enough tablet for a lot of people, but I don't think this is the one tablet I'd recommend people to buy. I think there are significantly better tablets out there that might make a lot more sense for people to go and pick up. And I'll leave them in the description below. But any of the current generation iPads I think are better than this thing. And I do think the Galaxy Tab S7, S8, and S9, maybe the S8 and S9, are better than this particular tablet as well. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there as well. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.